welcome everyone to the webinar, Profit First for Accountants. So I'm just going to quickly go around the room and ask everyone to briefly introduce themselves. I'm going to start with my business partner, Duncan.
Hi everybody, I'm Duncan Lloyd. I run Profit First Professionals UK along with Tim. And I also run an accounting firm, cloudaccountant.com. We're based in Leeds in the UK, specialise in e-commerce customers, and we're obviously a Profit First certified business.
Thanks, Duncan. Jason, would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Jason Withers. I've been certified Profit First professional since 2019, and I'm a coach only. However, that gives me a slightly different spin on how we apply Profit First and help that meet up with the expectations of accountants. Also a Profit First guide for Profit First members in the UK, coaching and mentoring them.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for coming along and joining us. And Gemma, would you like to briefly say hello?
Hi, I'm Gemma, and I've just been working for Cloud Accountant and for Duncan, helping out with the marketing for Profit First Professionals and Cloud as well.
Thanks, Gemma, and a great job you're doing as well, supporting us. We really appreciate it. And for those who don't know me, I'm Tim Seymour, joint owner with Duncan of Profit First Professionals UK. And welcome to the webinar. So I'm going to ask everybody that's arrived, have you read Profit First, the book? And can you just drop into the chat a yes or no, please? Have you read Profit First? And we're hoping that the chat is working. I wonder if we're not working.
Chat is disabled.
Chat is disabled. Okay, so that's an issue. Okay, in the Q&A, can you put yes or no in the Q&A, please?
Thank you, John, for pointing that out.
Yeah. There we go. Amy, yes. Joanna, no. Kelly, no. John, partway through it. Katie, yes. Kaylee, yes. Not yet. Nukalikiko. Okay, fantastic. Thanks for your responses there, guys. Appreciate that. So there's a few of you that actually haven't read Profit First. So I think it's probably important that we just give a very brief overview of what Profit First is. So in essence, Profit First is a behavior-based cash strategy for managing the cash in your business. So when someone reads the book, they'll get the impression that it's quite simple. It's moving money into pots. And of course, that is the basic principle of Profit First. So what we try to do is think about how our profit works in our business. So the general and usual way of looking at a set of accounts is sales minus expenses equals profit. And profit is left to the end. And quite often with accountants and their clients, 6 months after the year end, well done, you've made a profit. The client turns around and says, great, I've made a profit. Where's the cash? And he hasn't got the cash because he's already spent it. And so I'm sure this conversation resonates with some of you. And then you have to turn around and say to the client, oh, and by the way, because you made a profit, you've got a tax bill coming your way in just a few months' time. So with Profit First, we flip the equation. And so we say sales minus profit equals expenses. And that way profit's coming first. And because it's coming first, it's there in our mind all the time. So to make that work, we use a cash perspective on this, and we open up some separate bank accounts. And so as your money comes into your income account, you move a certain percentage of that money into a profit account. So you're taking your profit first, and you're moving that money in cash into a separate bank account. Then you take your owner's pay, which is the pay that you're going to be paying yourself, whether that's a mix of salary or a mix of dividends, that's absolutely fine. But we move the money into a pot. We're ring fencing that money for the end of the month so that we know we've got that money available to pay ourselves the right amount of money. After that, we move a certain amount of money for tax into a tax pot. This is for corporation tax and for personal tax later on down the line. And the remaining amount we have is for our operating expenses to operate the business on. If you're VAT registered, we would have a VAT pot and we would schedule the VAT first. So the VAT would be moved out, then the profit, then the owner's pay, then the tax, then the operating expenses. So it's as simple as that. So I've not got any fancy diagrams to show you. I just wanted to give you the basic concepts of what Profit First is and how it works. When you're a Profit First professional, there's a lot more that goes into it and how you actually work with a client implementing the Profit First strategies and what that looks like moving forward over a number of months and then over a number of years. The difference between a standard accountant, and I'm trying to use the term very carefully without being insulting to anybody, and a Profit First professional accountant, is that Profit First professionals look way ahead into the future with their clients, whereas a normal accountant that hasn't got these strategies may be looking a little bit reactively, doing the year-end accounts after the year-end. It's too late to make a change. It's too late to affect what's already happened. As a Profit First professional, we're always looking forward and we can affect what's going to happen and we can manage where we're going and the direction we're going to take our clients into. And it helps them achieve a lot of success if you can hold them accountable and give them ongoing strategy sessions to move them forward around their cash and around their profitability with their business. So that's a brief overview of what Profit First is. Any of you guys want to add anything to that?
I would add that when I'm presenting to groups of people and they're asking me what Profit First is, I say there are two answers to that question. One is that it's a cash management system. Okay, big wow. The other is that it's a way of life, right? Forgive me if that sounds a bit Disney, but trust me, it's true. And the evidence is in our membership of Profit First professionals in the UK and indeed globally, of which there are hundreds, and all the customers that we've made a big difference to. And the reason for that, I think, is because we're working with an entrepreneur's natural instinct to look at cash. And we accountants tend to say to customers, don't look at the bank account. If you obsess over the bank account, that's like driving a car looking at the fuel tank. And there's a lot of sense in that. You know, I'm a chartered accountant, that's what I used to say. But actually, customers, clients, they will look at their bank account. That's just what they do. And so if we're working with that behavior and embracing it and encouraging them to do it in the right way, in a meaningful way, we're talking their language, we can have much more traction with them, have much more impact on their business and their personal life. And in doing so, we're more valuable, we charge more, we capture a share of that value.
Love that. Thank you, Duncan. And I'm actually glad that you've started talking because I'm going to come to you next. So what we wanted to do on this webinar was actually, it's targeted to accountants. So this is all about accountancy practices. Now, I had an accountancy practice, and I'm going to tell you about that after. But Duncan's got an accountancy practice, and he's still got an accountancy practice. So I'm going to ask Duncan, tell us a little bit about your journey and what happened when you joined Profit First Professionals and what's happened since. It'd be great to hear.
Sure. Well, I started my firm about 5 or 6 years ago, and we thought we were doing quite a good job. Now, we wanted to be the kind of accountants who helped our clients make more money. We'd give them good reports. We would have monthly meetings with them. We were already doing advisory. And then a client recommended the book Profit First to me. And if I'm frank with you, I'm a bit of a sucker for a business book. I do like a lot of them. So I read it, but this one was really profound. And I felt that the world tilted a little bit on that day. I realized that actually we've been missing a trick. It was a really humbling moment, actually, when we thought we were doing a lot right. And I'm still proud of a lot of the stuff that we did, but I could just visualize a handful of my clients in particular really benefiting from this approach. So I applied to become certified, went through the process, put through my 3 beta clients, and each one of them was really impactful. So we went all in on it. Our firm is now, Profit First to us is front and center of what we do. All our clients get even just a small bit of Profit First. But now it's the major draw for us attracting leads into the firm. And so in that 5-year period, we've gone from 4 staff, we now have 10 staff, totally driven, very significantly driven by profit first and the value that brings to our customers. So we basically remodeled what we do to talk the customer's language and help them to do the things that matter to them, which is basically not having any surprise tax bills, be able to look forward and avoid bear traps. And while all the while we're still producing management reports, we're still making sure they use their allowances, we're still educating them on financial terms like EBITDA and deferred income and balance sheets. But on a day-to-day basis, what they care about is cash. And because we're talking that language, we're really helping them. And we've not lost a single profit first client, by the way. Our minimum fee for a profit first client is £800 a month, and our highest paying one pays us £4,000 a month. So I'm not sure what the kind of fees the people in this room are charging. I think the average fee per month for a small UK firm of accountants is something like £340 a month. So we're quite considerably above that, and as you would expect, we're decently profitable because that's what we care about: profits and cash.
Amazing, thanks, Duncan. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you and me joined Profit First Professionals around about the same time. We didn't actually know each other, and we certified around about the same time. And then Homebase, who ran Profit First Professionals then from the US, they looked after us in the UK. They put us into an accountability group, and we were in a group of 4 of us together. The other 2 guys, after a few months, decided for various reasons that they were going to leave the accountability group, but myself and Duncan decided to stay on board. And what happened was we started pushing each other with our businesses a little bit, holding each other accountable. And of course, the conversation naturally drifted towards, well, it was Duncan that came up with the idea actually and said, hey, how about we approach Mike and Ron about the license for Profit First Professionals in the UK? And immediately my answer was, yes, that's a great idea. Why don't we? And so that's what we did. And it's a real pleasure to work alongside Duncan. But what's unique about the both of us is that Duncan and I, both accountants, both had accountancy practices. Duncan still has, and he's absolutely smashing it right now. And Duncan, your live events that you're doing in a particular niche, you're getting a lot of success with, aren't you?
That's right, yeah. So we also niche in fitness companies and e-commerce companies. And so I'll go along to events where there's a particular organization that we work with, so we attend 4 events a year. Myself and Gemma, we'll have a stand. I get to talk to 100 people on the stage of typically a 1-day event, sometimes a 2-day event. And we always get leads out of it. We always get customers out of it, but we always get a good number of leads on that day. And one of the things I always like to ask the audience is put your hand up if you check your bank account in the past 30 days, and they put their hand up. Leave your hand up if you checked in the past 7 days. They'll leave their hand up. Leave your hand up if you checked in the past 24 hours. Most people have their hand up. And then I can point to someone in the front and say, you check in right now, and just try and get a cheap laugh. But that kind of makes the point that we're talking their language. And that's the one thing that when people come and speak to me afterwards or contact me afterwards, they say, when you said that about the bank account, I thought, yeah, he knows what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. And it is the key thing, isn't it? Everybody looks at their bank account. And if you want to make decisions from your bank account, you need to have the profit first strategies behind you, because it enables it so much easier. It gives you such clarity on your money, doesn't it? So thanks, Duncan. That was amazing. Thank you for that. So I'm just gonna let you know a little bit about my history as well. So I had an accountancy firm for 17 years. When I set it up, I made all the classic mistakes. I wanted clients. I was willing to do anything and everything for those clients, and I didn't charge enough money. And the great thing was, well, not the great thing, but the magic thing was that these clients absolutely loved me. So that's amazing. But I thought they loved me because they liked me, but actually they loved me because I was providing them with so much information and not charging them enough money. So they referred me to all of their friends. So I ended up with this business full of people that used to sing my praises. But unfortunately for me, it wasn't making me enough money and I was ending up working really long hours. So I created what Mike would call in the book a complete monster business. And working long hours, being stressed, November, December, January used to almost destroy me. The amount of work and the amount of hours I used to work in that time, it wasn't healthy. And I felt I was going down a road of not good health. It was a difficult time. Things weren't going too well for me. So I started to think, right, okay, I've created this business. This is what I wanted. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to go to my children's sports days. I wanted to be able to do all these things that you can do when you work for yourself. You know, I had this dream. And actually, I ended up working longer hours and earning less money than what I was doing before. So there's got to be a better way. And I started to look for different ideas. I started to look at other marketing tactics. How could I attract different clients? And then, funnily enough, one of my clients actually broached the subject with me. Have you read this book, Profit First? No, but I will do. He said, I recommend you read it. So Amazon, got the book, came in the post. I like the hard copy of the book. So started reading it, 2 chapters in. For me, the light bulb just went off in my head. You know, this is so simple. Why didn't I think of this? And why don't we think of it? I don't know. It's such a simple strategy. And it's embarrassing, you know, we're accountants and we haven't thought of doing this ourselves, not to this level anyway. Maybe putting tax money aside, maybe putting VAT money aside, but not an actual strategy like this. So I contacted Profit First Professionals. I had an interview with Ron, who's Mike's business partner, and I got accepted. And I started implementing Profit First in my own business through the certification process. And what an eye-opener that is. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we talk about some of our member stories. But that is a massive eye-opener when you suddenly see where you're at as a business. And it's quite emotional, I can tell you. So the realization was I was right. Things had to change. Things weren't working. But I had a bit of clarity on how I could make these changes and where I needed to make these changes. And as I worked through my business, it also gave me a really firm plan on how I could work with my clients' businesses. And so a few months later down the line, my business is starting to look a lot more healthier from a cash point of view. But also, I'm starting to work with clients now. And suddenly I've got something I can offer that is an advisory service that provides high value. That means you can charge higher fees and you can attract much better clients. Now, the clients I had, it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I trained them completely the wrong way. Hold my hands up for that one. But as I attracted better clients into the business, I was able to transition them out to other accountants that were quite happy to be compliance accountants for them. But that wasn't for me anymore. And as I built the business up around Profit First, every client had an element of Profit First, similar to Duncan. They had different levels that they could come and work with me at. So there was 3 different packages I had on offer, and every package had an element of Profit First strategies within them. And it just completely changed the business around. It changed a lot of my clients' lives, changed a lot of their businesses, and it certainly changed my life. Then I started to build out some coaching programs because for me, I didn't want to do the compliance anymore and I was trying to transition away from it. As I was building some coaching programs and starting to bring on some clients with that, luckily for me, a local accountant came along and wanted to buy the accountancy practice from me. So I sold the practice. That was probably just over 2.5 years ago now. And I've not done a tax return since. And I'm quite happy to say that, especially when it comes around to this time of year. So for any of you that are in that moment, oh God, January tax return deadline, etc., etc. I feel your pain. I really feel your pain, and I would love to help you not be in this pain this time next year. So that's my story. Then, of course, as I've already mentioned, along that way, I started to work with Duncan, and we became the joint owners of Profit First Professionals in the UK. And now 99% of my work is with Profit First Professionals UK. And it's a blast. It really is a blast. It's really amazing seeing people change, seeing accountants changing their life, changing their business, and changing their clients' business is very, very rewarding. So what I'd like to talk about now, because it kind of transitions me in quite nicely, is some success stories from some of our members. Now, I've got about 3 stories that I can tell you. I'm not going to name the members at this stage because it is a little bit personal to them and it would be a little bit unfair. However, we have got a video of testimonials from some of our members that I'm quite willing to email out to anyone who wants to see that. It's actually on our YouTube channel as well, but I'm quite happy to share that with anyone who wants to see that at a later date. But so one of our members said to me on my last call with him, which was just a couple of weeks ago, that he's increased his sales income by 100,000 just by being a Profit First professional. I mean, for me, that's massive. That's a massive transition from where he was to where he is now. But 100,000 just because he's a Profit First professional. And by being a Profit First professional, he's attracting a different caliber of client. But he's actually put a number on it. So that to me is amazing. There's another member who joined us this year. He had a profit assessment on his business because part of the certification process when you join Profit First Professionals is to implement Profit First in your own business. And you get guided through this process by myself or Jason, or sometimes both of us. And when we did this particular journey with this particular person, when he got his profit assessment and he worked out himself, when we got him on the call, it was very, very emotional. It hit him square in the face. He was overwhelmed because he just thought, I can't believe what these figures are saying, what these percentages are coming out at. I've read the book, but now I'm seeing this in reality and I can't believe it. I knew I had issues, but I can't believe this. And obviously we supported him and we gave him some other options. In fact, Jason gave him a couple of different ways of measuring his profit assessment, which actually made sense with slightly different scenarios. I can't go into specifics, obviously, because it's someone's business. And he went away with a plan. He had an idea of what he needed to do. The next call we had with him, which was probably 2 or 3 weeks later, it was like talking to a different person. He'd got his head around what had happened. He'd got his head around the realization of where he was at, and he was already moving forward. So he'd already looked at his costs. He'd already realized he was paying for all these softwares that he didn't actually need, and he managed to remove some of those straight away. There were other things that he knew he was going to have to stop. He was going to be able to stop paying soon, which gave him some more clarity moving forward. But he also had a clear plan. From looking at his own business, it gave him a clear plan of how he could work with his clients moving forward using the Profit First strategies. And it was a massive realization for him. And you should see him now, completely different, just in a short space of time, completely different person when we have the calls with him. And he is going to smash it in 2024. I can guarantee it. This time next year, maybe we'll have him on a webinar like this and he will be sharing his story himself because he's going to smash it this year. And the other person I wanted to talk about is someone who had a big lack of confidence in how they would coach their clients. And I think we put too much pressure on ourselves thinking we have to transition to being a coach. You're a mentor, you're a guide, you're a coach. What are you? Does it really matter? A consultant? You're an accountant. but you're an accountant that actually can provide really high value advice to your clients. And this particular person was fed up of having those compliance only conversations, but didn't know how to transition into offering these advisory services. Profit First gave her that option. And when she started to suddenly talk about how she could help them save money, how she could help them pay their next VAT quarter, how she could schedule them so that they would be able to invest in their business later on down the road for, fixtures and fittings, equipment, etc. It was a completely different conversation. And when someone's talking to you full of enthusiasm and full of energy and joy because they found a way to talk to their clients that is exciting her, let alone exciting and helping her clients, then that was amazing. So that was another great story from our members. I understand the chat's enabled now, by the way, guys. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A. Sorry about that technical issue. As you know, we're not all experts in everything, so these things happen. So that's fantastic. So I wanted to share those stories with you. Now, the next thing I think I would like to talk about is the difference between reading the book, which some of you have and some of you haven't yet, and I appreciate that, and actually being a Profit First professional, because there is a world of difference between trying to implement Profit First in your own business and actually learning the strategies and being guided by us here at Profit First Professionals, and then taking that forward to work with your clients. So Duncan, I think you've mentioned in the past how a lot of people have come to you because they've tried to implement in their own business, but they've failed.
Yeah. So the concept is quite simple, isn't it? But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. And what a lot of customers will do is they'll read the book and they'll try and implement the system, and then it will fall over. And I can tell you now what their errors are. I mean, the classic one is that they go way too high on the profit account, and then there's not enough money in the OPEX account and it falls over. Or they try not to use the bank accounts, they try to use a spreadsheet. That ain't going to work. And so we give our members the tools to help their clients to deliver Profit First and build it and build solid foundations. And so you're always there to squeeze the towel to get more out of it. It's not a set and forget. It's a constant program. Some of our members do offer products where they do like a 3-month get someone started, and there's a place for that. My firm, we don't do that. If someone's a customer of ours, they're paying us a monthly fee for in perpetuity until they leave. And like I say, nobody yet has. But there's plenty of demand for expertise in how to use the system. Because if they try and do it themselves, 9 times out of 10, they won't get the most out of it, or it just won't work. And so there's a great opportunity for us to come in and use our tried and tested methods. That, by the way, each PFP has their own proprietary way of delivering it. So as PFP UK, we don't give you a how-to guidebook on all the steps for you to follow, right? There's more work required on your part than that. So it's probably worth me saying at this point what Profit First is not, and it is not a magic bullet. It is not easy, but the rewards are massive if you get it right. And so the great advantage of that is that once you've gone through the certification, the way you deliver Profit First to your customers will be unique to you. And if you then have a niche, you're then delivering something that simply cannot be compared to anybody else. So, for example, when I'm pitching for e-commerce customers to deliver Profit First, there is no one else in the UK delivering what what I do. It's not quite true, actually. A couple of our members are starting to get into the e-commerce market, and it's a big market. There's plenty of space for all of us. But we all offer a slightly different service. But generally speaking, if they want profit first in their e-commerce business, and I get to talk to them, they're going to come and work with us because we answer their problems, we understand their business, we talk their language, and therefore we're not competing on price with the accountant down the road. We're not going to lose them next year to someone who's developed a new product with AI that's going to do bookkeeping cheaply, because that's the way the industry is going. We're going for the high value, high ticket, high impact, and the way that we pitched our marketing now is that we are in the business of transformations. You know, we're not in the business of doing your accounts. If you want your accounts doing, you can get them done cheaply somewhere else. We're in the business of transformation, which means hard work from our customers to get a great result. And the same logic is true of the members who join Profit First Professionals UK. As Tim mentioned earlier, we're seeing transformations in their businesses. You know, they're going from being loss-making accountants or maybe breaking even, which is soul destroying because accountants deliver so much value, and now they're getting paid properly. You know, now they're starting to get the way I describe it is that we want our members to capture a fair share of the value they create for their customers, and that's fair, isn't it? A customer can't object to that. It makes your marketing easier, makes your sales easier, and it makes pushing your prices up possible. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Duncan. Yeah, and I think it's being a profit first professional enables you to have those strategies at your fingertips to help any of your clients. When we work with our members, we don't say to them once they're certified, go out and sell profit first to all your clients. We don't do that. We want our members to be strategic and to think about the type of clients they want to work with, which clients are the best fit for working with us in this way, because you're moving away from that compliance area and you're looking to go into advisory. And this is the strategy for advisory. I don't know of any other strategy that compares to Profit First, because you are directly having a positive impact on your clients and your own, but on your clients' cash and on their profitability. And just to clarify one thing, because I get asked this quite a lot when I have calls with accountants directly and bookkeepers as well. Profit First is not just about the owner, but the owner needs to look after themselves to be able to look after everybody else. So Profit First helps provide a long-term sustainable business, which means you look after your team in that way. Some people get a little bit confused and think, well, yeah, but I'm not like that. I want to make sure my team are looked after. It's not all about me. Fine, no issue with that. But if you're not looking after yourself as well, then there's a problem. Because we've had people in the past that have joined us and they've looked after their team so well, but they're the one that's got the problem. They're the one that's got the personal financial issue because they've been so concerned about their team. And that's fine, but we can help you overcome that. And the long-term outcome for that is you have a longer-term, sustainable, successful business where you're looked after and your team is still being looked after nicely as well. So I just want to clarify that, because that's a question that comes up quite a lot. I've also seen a couple of questions in the chat, I believe. I think someone's asked, does this work for bookkeepers? Yes, absolutely. We have members that are accountants, members that are bookkeepers, members that are coaches. It works for anybody who's in that world where they're dealing with clients from a financial point of view. They've got a bit of financial nous and they can apply the Profit First principles to help their clients. So yes, it works. So what happens when you become a Profit First professional would be perhaps quite interesting, and sort of talk about the kind of journey that you would go through. So if someone becomes a Profit First professional, they get onboarded, of course, and they have access to an online portal, which is called PFU, Profit First University. and they follow the steps through to become certified. But whilst they're following those steps, they have one-to-one calls, which are generally every 2 weeks, going through certification. And then once certified, they probably ease off to once a month. Those calls would be with either myself or Jason generally. That's just the way it works at the moment. To go through certification, the first stage is you work through the basic principles of Profit First on the online portal, PFU. That takes about 4 hours. And then you go through implementing Profit First in your own business. Okay, this takes a little bit longer, of course, and we guide you through the process. You do a profit assessment on your own business, which tells you and tells us exactly where you're at right now from a cash and Profit First perspective. This is the key thing, because this is what you will be doing with your clients later on down the line. So we help you look at that. We then help you with the plan and the blueprint to move your business forward with your Profit First allocations, which will enable you to have more clarity on the cash in your business than what you may have right now, and also steer you in a clear direction to be longer term profitable and have a longer term sustainable business whilst rewarding yourself in the right way. And of course, the major part of Profit First is at the end of each quarter, we have our profit distribution, where we reward, or you reward for yourself from your business. You get rewarded from your profit account for running your business. So on top of your owner's pay, your mixture of salaries and dividends, at the end of the quarter, you reward yourself because you've worked so hard and you deserve the reward. What you do with that reward is entirely up to you. If you want to share that with your team, that's fine. If you want to go out and celebrate, that's fine. One of our members told us about one of his clients who the very first profit distribution she went to the hairdressers and had her hair done. Now she's booking 2-week holidays abroad in exotic locations. And that's the journey you take your clients on over a long period of time. So going back to being a Profit First professional, you implement in your own business, and then you implement in 3 beta clients' businesses. So this involves producing a profit assessment and having a conversation with those clients, and then feeding back the information about the clients and the conversations you've had. And this puts you in a good place then, because you've practiced talking about Profit First and implementation with 3 of your clients. After that, you take the final quiz. It is an exam, but it's a multiple choice quiz. It's not like an accountancy exam or a bookkeeping exam, so you don't need to panic about it. And it's very achievably passed once you've got to that stage, because you have all the knowledge there. And then you get your badge, which you can see displayed on that. We can't work out which hand I'm using. Displayed on our tops here, the Profit First Professional Certified Badge. And you can put that out to everybody, and you can market yourself as a Profit First professional. But that's where the membership really begins, because from that moment onwards, you then need to start thinking about, what are you going to offer to your clients? What does it look like? How are you going to help them with Profit First? Are you, like I did and like Duncan does, going to weave it into everything you offer to your clients? So as they sign up to one of your packages, or one of your, whatever it is you offer, however you offer it, whether that's through Go Proposal, etc., are you going to add Profit First into everything you offer them? Or are you going to go for a standalone program where you think you might want to transition into a coaching route like I have, and set up different programs, which could be 3-month programs, 12-month programs, etc. So there's lots of different variables. And as Duncan mentioned earlier, we don't provide a structure that you have to follow. We provide strategies, we provide support, we guide, we mentor, and we nurture you along, and you decide what works best for you. We had one of our members tell us yesterday that she doesn't particularly want to do one-to-one, but she really wants to do coaching, and she wants to teach people in a more of a group environment. No problem. It's your business. You do what works for you. We'll support you, and you spread the word of Profit First as you're doing it, and you'll be helping people. You'll be helping more people in probably a shorter space of time as well, doing it that way. So that serves a purpose that we're happy with. So that's kind of a loose thing about what happens if you were to join Profit First Professionals. We don't take everybody who applies on. You have to be the right fit to work with us. You have to be in the right position to work with us. And you have to, for one thing, you have to read the book before you can apply anyway. So anyone who hasn't read the book that said no on the chat, I urge you to read it. I urge you to read the book, maybe over the Christmas period. It won't take long to read. It's very engaging. Mike's full of the stories of what's actually happened with businesses and clear examples of how he's helped people and how people have changed their lives with Profit First. So it's an engaging book. It's an interesting book. And like I said before, it's not a textbook. So it doesn't mean you can read the book and you can go away and follow the principles, because we don't live in the ideal world. We live in the real world. And that was so just going back to the difference between reading the book and working with a Profit First professional, that kind of reminds me to say this really. As Duncan said, people will fall down trying to use Profit First because they've read the book. They then think, I'm going to do that in my business. And they go straight to the target allocation percentages that they've read in the book. So they assume that's what they should be doing. It's not necessarily right for the UK. It's not necessarily right for every industry. And it's not necessarily right for every business, even if they're in the same industry. So when we work with a client, we run a profit assessment and we look at where they're at right now. We look at what the percentages tell us to how they've been handling the cash in their business. Then we say, right, okay, we're going to move you forward. But if we try and get them to the target allocation percentages within 6 months, chances are it's unachievable and it's going to fall over. So we might say to them, look, we're going to do a 24-month plan. We're going to do a 36-month plan. Who knows? But we're going to get you to a better place. Whether we ever get you to the target allocation percentages is a different story, but we're going to get you to a better place than where you're at right now. And we're going to do that by making these allocations, opening these bank accounts, moving these money into these pots, and having monthly meetings where we talk about Profit First and we talk about other strategies to help you become more profitable. That, to me, is the value of working with a Profit First professional than someone who's just read the book and starts putting money into pots and doesn't really know what it's going to look like and how it's going to work. And then 3 months later, when they get an annual bill that they've forgotten to take into the equation, maybe they pay their insurance annually, suddenly they've got to find the money for that bill and everything falls over. With a Profit First professional, we're looking ahead. We're calculating what their tax bill is likely to be in the future. So, for instance, is 15% in the book enough? It depends on the client. It depends on their revenue. It depends on a lot of things that only we would know because we're working with them to that level of detail on a regular basis. But can you imagine being a client on the end of that? Imagine how that feels, being that client on the end of that conversation with their accountant or their bookkeeper. How different is that to, yeah, well done, you've made a profit, and by the way, here's your tax bill. What do you mean you don't understand it? Oh, well, it's it. That's it, isn't it? It's tax return, it's accounts. There you go. And not saying that any of you are like that, by the way, but there are people out there like that, and we know that. So what a difference from an end user, from a client. How much value are you giving them? And how much would they be willing to pay you for that value? Because I can guarantee you it's a lot more than just paying you for a compliance job. It's massive. So I just wanted to go back to that because it just came to me as I was talking. Does anyone want to add anything to that before we go on to the next steps?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on that, Tim. I think that it is it's extraordinary how clients value some of the things which we would consider to be just way too simple. And I think they are game-changing for clients, separating that VAT money out. Actually sitting there and saying, I want you to pay yourself more, is a conversation most clients do not have with their accountant. But because we have the strategies that we have available to us, we can plan the tax very simply around that. So the idea of saying to someone, and I'd be really interested actually in the chat, if you can think of a client that you currently have who is paying themselves somewhere in the region of 30,000 a year at the moment, 2,500 a month gross. What do you think the value would be to that client if you said, I'm moving you to 50,000 in the next 12 months because you had insight on their world and you had a strategy to take them there. Would that be attractive to that client? Let's have a quick Y for yeses, and I'll be amazed if there's some N's for no's. It is absolutely game-changing when you can say to people, we can do this. For me, it's very much the difference between thinking about it in terms of reporting for a client and helping a client. It's a transition, and that transformation is immense when we can get people to the other side of these things. You know, December the 31st, there'll be plenty of your clients, I'm sure, who have corporation tax bills due. Have they got the money saved right now? Some will, some won't. Will they take it out of one very large bank account and think, well, that's it, it's just where the money's coming from? Probably. The separation of that bank account and knowing that the only purpose of that bank account is to pay a corporation tax bill makes it much easier for your clients to actually work out the money that they do have available to spend on other things in their business, quite appropriately, quite safely. So, you know, there are some very simple techniques that we can use to really create some game-changing transformations for these clients. And some of it is not difficult to do, but has immense value attached to it.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. So, guys, we don't take everybody on that applies. We're quite careful who we work with. We aren't taking anybody on until the 1st of February, and that's going to be our next cohort of members. We've found that taking people on in groups works really well. We work with you on a one-to-one basis still, but we're in the flow of working with people going through certification at the same time. It helps us help you go through quicker and more efficiently. We generally, to get through certification, I would have told you 18 months ago, it takes 3 months. We're actually getting people through between 6 to 8 weeks now. And the reason that's happening is because people that are going to join, or when they know they're going to join, they've got advanced warning they're joining, and also they can schedule their beta clients in advance. They can start talking to people and saying, I'm doing this. I want you to be one of my beta clients. Are you interested? And because that was the bit that used to hold people up. They used to get to they do the basic principles, they'd implement in their own business, and then it would be, right, now what? And they would have to then go and find the 3 clients to work with. So if you can find those clients in advance, that works really well. As Jason's just said, we want you to certify as quickly as possible because we want you to get a return on your investment as quickly as possible, which then becomes a profit on that investment as you take your clients on. So we're not taking anyone on to the 1st of February. That doesn't mean you can't express your interest. And so that's going to be in the chat right now. So it says find out more, and it gives you more information, but it also just gives you a little form to complete. If you complete that form, it just expresses interest. That's all. There's no commitment, but what it will do, it will come into our inbox. One of us will contact you and would arrange to have a chat with you in January sometime and see if it's something that we want to take forward with each other. So it's you interviewing us and we're interviewing you to see if we want to go forward and see if you would be the right fit for our community. It's very important for us, for our community, that everybody fits, because it's a very supportive environment. We have group calls on a regular basis, and the support around the room is absolutely amazing when we have these calls. How people offer up advice to each other, how they say, hey, that's fine, I can help you with that. Let's have a one-to-one off after this and we'll have a chat and I can help you and support you in different areas. Yeah, it's amazing. As Jason says, we regularly learn from each other and it happens all the time. So being a supportive and positive member of the community is really important for us. But it is also a very welcoming community. So if anyone does come in, they're welcomed, and everybody would give them a virtual hug straight away and say, welcome on board, you know, let's work together. Lots of collaborations happen within our community. Not for everybody, of course. Some people prefer to keep themselves in that way. Some of our members are working with each other already. They've got agreements where one person does the bookkeeping, another one does the coaching, you know, so there are collaborations happening already, which is fantastic to see. The other thing you can do right now, I've got a free community for accountants and bookkeepers, UK based, called Croissants and Coffee. And that the Facebook group's just come up on there as well. You can hit that link and apply to join if you're not in it. I recognize some of you on this are already within the community. So it's good to see some of you here as well, by the way. That's a free community. We have a monthly online call where myself and Jason are on it. We offer support around the room. Again, it's very community-based, very supportive environment. We're also going to start having guest presenters in that call. And in January, our first guest presenter is none other than Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, the creator of Profit First Professionals, and he's going to be on that call. But you have to be in Croissants and Coffee by the end of December to be able to be invited onto that call. And Amy's clapping. Thank you, Amy. I know you're looking forward to that call as well as I am. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at, guys. Does anyone have any questions or any comments they want to put in the chat now, just before we finish? And Duncan and Jason, is there anything you want to add that I haven't perhaps talked about?
Only one thing for me, and it's the best way I can describe membership of Profit First Professionals is as an ethical, unfair advantage.
Love it, love it. And I would say, from my experience, joining Profit First Professionals was life-changing, absolutely life-changing for me. And I would absolutely love to help other people change their lives. Jason.
Yeah, I would say certainly the people that I've worked with as PFPs through the course of this year, the change in how they are approaching their businesses is immense by and large. And that is about character. It is about participation. It is about doing the work. It is about thinking a little bit beyond the 200 pages in the book. Tim, Duncan, and I have definitely read the same 200 pages, but we definitely all apply it in slightly different ways, and we regularly learn from each other as a community as a whole. I think if you have your eyes set in 2024 on a bigger, better, more profitable business that delivers a better work-life balance for you, then I would strongly suggest you click on that find out more link, get a call in with Tim or Duncan, and investigate what that really looks like on the other side. Because I can definitely say there are accountants and bookkeepers out there who have joined us this year who are, as to coin Tim's phrase from earlier on, who are smashing it already in the work that they've done through certification this year. It's fantastic to see how they're changing their approach in terms of working with their clients. So yeah, I would warmly encourage you to at least book that call in.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, so that's it really. I think that's all from us. The last thing I would probably say is, if any of you are in that world right now, and you might not be, but if you are in that world right now where it's all about compliance now because of the January deadline, as Christmas is coming, I want you next year to be able to enjoy Christmas with your family, not have the spectre of tax returns in the back of your mind throughout that period. And then come back to January and all stressed. I want you next year to not be in that world, and we have the solution for you. So come and chat to us, and let's see if you're the right fit. Let's see if there's a route we can work together. But other than that, thanks for coming along today. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you very soon.
Thanks for your time, everybody.